I didn't expect this trip to turn into something bigger. I thought I was just traveling, resetting, getting away for a bit. But sometimes, the things you've been quietly working on start speaking for you. And that's exactly when things shift. While I was there, something happened that I didn't plan for. I got an email. So this company called Dehancer reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to test their film-like color grading plugin and give an honest review. And I remember thinking, okay, interesting, because I've been quietly working on my craft for a while now. And since I was already shooting footage in Thailand, I decided that it might be a good idea to test it out and see if I like it. So if you don't know what Dehancer is, it's basically a plugin that helps you color grade your footage to make it look more like real film. Not just filters, but actual film emulation. So it helps you recreate the grain, texture, halation, the subtle imperfections that give analog film its character. And on top of that, it has over 60 film profiles and presets. But before we go any further, a quick disclaimer though. So I'm not being paid to create this video. The answer simply reached out to me and asked me if I want to give my honest opinion. And that is exactly what I'm going to do based on the experience I have so far when it comes to content creation. They also gave me a discount code that I will put here on the screen and also in the description in case you want to try it out for yourself. So what I did is I took the footage from my trip in Thailand. And by the way, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. So that's the software I'm going to use to show you how I use Dehancer. Let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to have to do is to download Dehancer on your computer. I already done that, so I'm just going to skip those steps. Then you want to open your editor. In this case, I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro like I said. It's very simple. You go to the effects panel and you just type in Dehancer and it should pop up right here. All I'm going to do is click and drag it over my footage. Alright, so I want to show you. Let me move this aside for a bit. I'm going to show you this footage right here in Thailand. As you can see, it's pretty much a little bit overexposed. So I want to change that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go here to Effects Control. And then I'm going to scroll down. I should see Dehancer in the list. That's right here. So we have all these possibilities here. I'm going to go over them in a bit. In my opinion, a lot of options, and as you can see, that is the case. So I'm going to go over the first one. I'm not going to go over all of them because it might take a while, but I'm going to go over the most important ones in my opinion, so you see the possibilities you have with Dehancer. Alright, so the source. The reason that this, by the way, is like this is because this Rec 709 is over it. So if I go here and I toggle it off, this is the actual footage, and if I toggle it on, this is what you get. Basically here you can choose your type of camera that you filmed with. If I click on source and choose camera, then this thing pops up here. As you can see, there's a huge list. I shot this footage on my DJI Action 5, so I'm gonna see if I can find it in the list. To be honest, I already looked and I didn't find it, but something that came as close as possible is DJI Action 4. It's this one right here. So you really depend on what look you're going for and what camera you shot your footage on. You can choose from the list. One thing I noticed though, there's nowhere that I can specifically look for the type of camera I used, and that's annoying because as you see it's a long list, so it means I have to scroll a lot to actually get to the thing I'm looking for. Maybe I'm missing it, but that might be an upgrade for this plugin. Anyway, so I'm just gonna leave it at DJI Action 4 for now. And here, if you move this around, you can adjust the exposure. Let me undo. And when you do that, it gives a different mood or vibe to the footage. It might be a photo or a video. Here you can adjust the temperature. If you move to the right, it becomes warmer. And if you move to the left, it becomes colder. And it gives a totally different vibe. Let's go over film. This is one of my favorite options, because this allows you to give a different look to the video also. One of my favorites is the Konica Centuria 100 DNP. If I click on it, it kind of gives this red pinkish vibe to it, and I like that. I don't know why, it's just a matter of preference. And if I go over the footage, you can see what the vibe is, right? Alright, so I really like that. It gives a different vibe to it, a warm vibe. And yeah, I think it's a matter of preference. If you like that, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But as you can see, we have different options. This one makes it a bit cooler, so I'm gonna go back. Alright, I'm gonna leave it at Konica for now. And if you click on push or pull, it makes the effect a bit stronger, or a bit weaker, of course. Alright, so by the way, before I forget, some of these things are automatically enabled, as you can see here. But some are not. So sometimes when you move the buttons and you're like, nothing is happening, make sure that the enable button, for example, right here, is on. Otherwise, it won't do anything. So the film developer, also an interesting part of this plugin, the gamma, and there's a subtle change in the footage, as you can see. And this right here, this is, in my opinion, a strong one, because look at what happens at the footage. Right now it's just like without me touching the color boost, but as soon as I touch the color boost, look what happens. I really love that. It really grabs the sand and the clouds, and actually also the background, the rock right there. It's amazing, because without it the footage looks flat. So this is definitely something I will be using in my footage in the future. So let's go to film compression. It was enabled, so now I enabled it. You already see what it does, and this is without me adjusting anything, just enabling it. It really helps you to work on the shadows and the dark tones, improve them or soften them. As you can see here, for example, look at the definition in the sky. Man, this is very, very powerful tool, man, and I'm so happy they reached out to me. Look at this. If I adjust this, you can see it changes the mood completely. You know, the beautiful thing about this, it has so many features that is really up to you to make the best of the footage you have, and of course using this plugin. So I'm gonna set everything back to normal. If I enable it, you see, I love this, man, because without the enabled, it looks so flat. I mean, it's still beautiful, but with this, you can actually see the details in the picture and in the video, and I love that. With the print, you can use a different film profile to also change the vibe of the video. I usually don't use this, but as you can see, it is also very strong, very powerful. And I'm gonna put it back to linear and skip it for now. Let's go over to color head. Let me just enable it. And if I move this to the right, you see it gives a blue filter over it, and if I move it to the left, it gives a more yellow filter. To be honest, since I'm new to this color grading thing, I don't know how I'm able to use this for now, but I think it's a cool thing to have. Maybe if you have like a, let's say a hip-hop video or something, you want to change the vibe, make it a bit more clubby. I don't know. I'm imagining that's what I will use it for. It might be a good thing to use, but for now, not needing it. If I go to shadows, it really adjusts the layer on the film instead of the things in the film, if you know what I'm saying. So it's not adjusting the boats, it's basically adjusting the layer. You see, I hope I explained that correctly. So let me set it back to normal. Let's go over the midtones. Also the same thing. It makes the sand and the sky looks a bit warmer or colder depending on what way you move the button. So let's go over film grain. It's already enabled, as you can see. I love this one, man, because it really gives the grain to the footage. It kind of gives it this vintage look, and I love that. So for example, if I go over to 65mm ISO 50, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it does this cool effect that changes the video completely. Let's go over this one. For now, I'm gonna disable it. Maybe you can see it now, by the way. You see that? Let's go over halation. If I enable it, halation, what it actually does, it gives this glowy border around your footage. It's very subtle, but I love it. It really gives that a little bit extra. So if you can see right now, let me put it at Super 16. It's enabled, and if I take it away, you kind of see that it becomes a bit flatter again when I disable it. But I love this like this. It's amazing. It's very subtle, but very, very beautiful and effective. Let's go over bloom. Let me enable this right here so you can see what happens. So when you use halation and bloom, it adds a little bit more softness to the footage also. So look. Again, very subtle. But as you can see, it really changes the vibe completely. And I keep saying the same thing, but I'm super excited about this thing, man. Look at that. You see that? Disabled, enabled. It gives a soft glow, and I love that. Oh yeah, one important thing that I forgot to mention. Most of these features you can also customize, right? So if you click on, for example, let's say on bloom, you go to custom, you have more options to adjust the bloom. Alright, so if I do this, you can see that the effects become stronger. So that is a very cool feature to have, because otherwise you would just have to do it with the already created profiles. So you can create your own things and customize them to your liking. Alright, so let's move over to film damage. Let me enable it first. You can also custom this. For example, if I go to 8 mm, this is not a customizable, this is already given. But you can see if I play it back, this artificial basically damage on the footage like an old video. You see that? Look at the stripes. It's amazing, man. It's beautiful. If you really want to create that vintage look, this is the way to go. Alright, so let's go over a different feature that I also find interesting. I already enabled it. It's the vignette. So basically, let me give you an example. If I adjust this right here, you see the feather appearing, and I can adjust the size. Let's say make it a bit smaller, and if I want to center it and let's say point out something specific like this right here, I can just use that to kind of show you the thing I'm pointing out. As you can see, I'm using my mouse right now, and in my opinion it's not precise, so maybe there should be like a different type of button here that kind of makes you move it around a bit easily, because right now if I do this, it goes like down very fast or up very fast, and it doesn't let you be precise. So that would be a nice adjustment to have. I don't know how Dehancer would do this, but they asked me for an honest review, so that's what I'm giving. Alright, the other things I don't use, so I'm just gonna leave them for now, but I hope that this footage shows you the possibilities that are out there if you're using Dehancer. And yes, if you're using Adobe Premiere Pro, it already has a lot of features inside the program itself, or the software I should say, but this can be something very powerful you can add to Adobe Premiere Pro to make your footages look better. So as you can see, it's very useful. So now I'm going to show you some different footages that I already adjusted using Dehancer, so you can see how the footage changes from being very flat and boring to something more interesting. Alright, so that was a quick overview of Dehancer, just showing you the main things I use and how it can affect your footage. But before I forget, another cool thing that Dehancer has is this online photo editor. It's called Dehancer Online, and you can upload a photo and play around with the same looks, grain, and halation right in your browser. Super handy if you just want to experiment without opening Premiere or messing with your video project. So what's my overall opinion about this plugin? Honestly, I really like it. It's a very strong plugin that allows you to create your footage in amazing ways, especially working with Premiere. But even on itself, it's a very powerful tool. So one thing I noticed is that if you go to effects panel and you look for the source and try to find the camera you recorded with, not all cameras are in the list, and in a way I do understand why they can't all be there. But another thing that is pretty annoying in my opinion is that you can't type in the name of the camera and look for it. You have to scroll, sometimes like crazy, and go all the way down in order for you to find the camera you used. So Dehancer, if you guys are doing an update, this might be something great to update. So another thing is the vignette slider. It's not super precise. Maybe it's my mouse, I don't know, but whenever I scroll, I can't seem to get it right. Sometimes it feels like you're just moving the slider around hoping to get a nice look. So maybe it's my mouse, or maybe it's just how the way the slider looks, but a smoother control would be nice. Other than that, I have to say that the features such as grain, halation, and film damage are amazing. Some things that take you a lot of time in Adobe are just one click away here. I have to say though that it might feel a bit overwhelming if you're just starting out with color correction or color grading, because there are so many options. But if you just stick to the film profiles, you can truly create something beautiful and cinematic. So would I recommend this? 100%.